So, welcome to WoW Basic Training. Once again, this is Eagle Eye. And today I'm going to be doing some world questing while I talk about or answer a question that was posed in this World of Warcraft Facebook group that I am a member of. That question is, so, about to do my first raid. Tips? Yes, I have plenty of tips. As a raid leader of a Mythic raid team, I have tips like you wouldn't believe. um, First tip is the first thing is make sure you have the right add-ons like DBM. Other people mentioned GTFO. Um, Other tips though that maybe other people don't want to give so much or don't think about giving. Everyone's always concerned about your tune, your gear, your enchants, your gems. Of course, make sure your enchants and gems are uh, fully taken care of. You never ever want to go into a raid with something like this, not enchanted. Right, I probably should have enchanted my pride as by now. This is not a raiding tune yet. I haven't really raided much on it. Um, I've done like 2 full clears of freaking Emerald Nightmare on my tank here. But enchants and gems, fine. All that stuff is easy enough. But the thing that I like to focus on with my raid team has to do with where they are mentally, where they are in their attitude, the way they approach it mentally. And so a few of the things that I tell my people is number one is know your role and stay in your lane. What I mean by that is, if you are a healer, for example, and let's say you're a resto druid, you're not going to be all that great with direct heals to the tank. If you're constantly spamming regrowth, then you're going to be going faster. So if you have a holy pally in the group or a resto shaman with their mastery, with the deep healing mastery, um, those guys have some big booming heals. So let's say you have somebody that's down to like 20% health. Your job is to throw a rejuvenation on them to help stop the bleeding or reduce the, slow down the death, give them something, ticking going on. But you gotta trust your other healers that, like trust that your holy pally is going to be throwing that huge booming heal on them. Trust that your resto shaman is going to be throwing that huge booming heal on them. Trust your other healers and stay in your lane. As a resto druid, your lane is spreading the love, giving lots and lots of heal over time spells across the rest of the raid. Your job is not to try to be a savior of that one individual, trying to make it so that they you don't want to pad your meters with big booming heals that, well, they're not that big, they're not that booming. Let's just be honest, let's just be real here. They are not going to be as effective. So you're not doing them any favors really, unless it's an absolute emergency. So stay in your lane. Um, if let's say you have a job in a raid where it's your job to do interrupts, for example. If your job is to do interrupts, and if you fail to do that, then you're gonna wipe. Your raid leaders should understand that. You're not maybe you're gonna be a little lower on DPS, that kind of thing, but stay in your lane, do your job, and make sure that the things that you're supposed to cover are covered. That said, I have this nice little alliteration saying, mechanics matter more than meters. And that is something that is ignored quite often by new raiders, especially when you're going through LFR where mechanics really don't matter. Get into that mindset of, you know what, I'm going to follow the mechanics no matter what, because when I go up to the higher level raids, the more difficult raids, it's going to be the case that I'm going to need to care about mechanics. I'm going to need to care about whether I do things the right way or not, because if I don't, that's going to lead to wipes, and especially when you get to Mythic, Mythic or raids, your mechanics definitely matter more than meters, except on things like maybe Guarm or Ursoc, for example. Those fights, the meters matter as well because you have enraged timers that you're going to run into. But at the end of the day, you got to keep your eye on the prize. And the number one thing that people seem to forget when they're watching these meters and saying, "Oh, how much DPS am I doing?" or "What's my HPS? Where am I stacking up compared to the rest of the raid?" They don't seem to get it that the whole goal is this: these purple items, getting those to drop, and the only way you get those to drop is if the boss is dead. The only way the boss dies is if you do everything necessary to kill the boss. It doesn't matter where you are on that damage meter. It doesn't matter if you're the last or the first or somewhere in the middle. If the boss is dead, the boss is dead. If you die because you forget to do certain mechanics right, then you're doing 0 DPS at that point. And dead DPS is 0 DPS, right? So there's that. And then you have those people who are like, they'll post their meters. They'll seriously like link their meters on a wipe and say, "Look at me, I was topping the meters on that wipe." And my response to them is, I don't care. We didn't down the boss. The boss is not dead, so your meters don't matter. Your meters absolutely do not matter unless the boss dies. Then you can brag to me about how high of your DPS is. There's some classes out there that have really high burst DPS at the beginning of a fight, and it just goes downhill from there. A nice, slow, steady downhill. And then there's those classes like a Shadow Priest. Shadow Priests are a slow build-up. I can't tell you how many times I've seen Shadow Priests kicked out of pug raids because their DPS was the lowest, and people are wiping at 70, 60%. And I'm just like, you realize that that guy, by the end of the fight, when we kill the boss, that dude's going to be the highest DPS here. So bad raid leaders look at meters and use them as gospel. Good raid leaders understand all of that, all the stuff that matters, not just meters. They can evaluate the logs properly. So yeah, there's that. Keep your eye on the prize. The dead boss is more important than topping the meters. I don't care who's on. I don't care what DPS you do. If you feel good about your DPS and you want to brag about it when the boss is dead, that's great. But that's the other thing. I guess the other thing that needs to be said, people need reminding, is that I don't care that you're the number one DPSer. The boss wouldn't have died, most likely would not have died, without everyone else in the raid participating. That top DPS is only possible because of the healers and the tanks and the other DPS that are surrounding you. It is a team effort. No one downs raid bosses in current content alone. So appreciate the people around you, but also understand that it is entirely possible that there's one motherfucker, pardon my language, but there is one guy out there. Sometimes when you're wiping, there is just that one guy that is doing something wrong that nobody notices, that nobody seems to catch, that is causing the wipe. And as soon as you get rid of that person, everything clicks into place, and suddenly you're downing bosses again. So, no single person can, no single person can down a raid boss, but one single person can prevent it from happening. So don't be that guy, and if you think you are that guy, get out of the raid as fast as you can, so that you can, you don't want to be that person that's holding everyone else back. It's not about you; it's about the team, and I guess that's what I'm going to leave this on. Just be a team player, and don't be the reason why everyone's wiping, and just try and contribute to the team the best you can. And always remember, the boss dying is the most important thing. Everything else is secondary to that. All right, guys. Good luck. Have fun. Oh, and subscribe to my channel. I only have like 31 subscribers right now, but I think I think I have some valuable stuff that you may want to listen to sometimes. So give me a subscription, give me a like on the video, and thanks for listening.